Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Sunday, the 14th of January. Pretty nasty day out. We've had snow pretty much all day here, pretty much all day yesterday. So I thought I'd take a chance on tuning these sleds up. Usually, by the time I get one tuned up, it usually warms up and the snow melts off, and I don't really get to use them a whole lot. But just thought I'd take a opportunity this afternoon to go through them. This one here is an 02 Polaris Super Sport 550. It's got the old 550 Fuji motor in it. This one's my dad's. I drug it down here last spring because it needed some work. It had some cylinder studs broken, lost compression. Went through the engine, all new gaskets, all new studs, all new cylinder nuts, and put it back together and had good compression both holes. And put a new seat on it. Put a little bit of a rise in the handlebars here. I think I put a 3-inch block in. So this one's ready to go. Like I say, pulled the carbs off, cleaned them up, checked all the fluids, new fuel. So it should be ready to go. This is my 99 XC700 Polaris. I bought this sled back in, well, I think it was like 04. Bought it in 2004. It had like 200 miles on it. It was bone stock, you know, tall windshield, ugly seat. I put a different seat on it. Put a edge gas tank on it because in the 99 models, on the straight XCs anyway, the seat and the tank were one-piece units. I think on the XC-SPs they were a separate unit, but anyways, put an edge tank on it. Different seat, a little bit higher seat, so you're not sitting down where your knees are up to your armpits. I don't even know when I did the handlebars on it, but put a pretty big rise on them, different style handlebar. I run Camoplast skis on mine. I like them, they're light, you know, they float pretty good. This one was a 121-inch track when I got it. I ran that for 2 or 3 years and decided, what's the point of having, you know, 125, 130 horsepower with a 1-inch 121 track. So first I put a 136-inch extension on it, and I ran that one for several years. Found a buy on this 144 track that was like brand new, so went ahead and stretched it out to 144. Same thing on this one. I went through, cleaned up the carbs, new gas, checked all the fluids. I guess the only other thing I did different on this one is when I went to a bigger track, I obviously had to get in the chain case and change things around a little bit, so it's geared down pretty low. I think it came stock with a, what was it, 2440 gear set, and I think I went down to a 2142 to spin that bigger track, and it works good. It's not a top end sled anymore. I mean, it, you know, you can wind it up and probably get 65, 70 out of it, but you're screaming to do it. But the way I ride, I don't like running fast anyways. I like to be able to get from 0 to 40 in a hurry. So that's that one. I've had it forever. Been a good sled. I've rebuilt it once. Didn't do the bottom end. The bottom end was fine. And the top end was my fault. I had a loose exhaust manifold bolt. And when I started it, it got cold. I'd ridden it to a neighbor's house and came back out, and it had cooled off. And I started it and just took off without letting it warm up properly, and wrecked a piston and a cylinder. So this is my 03 Pro X 440R. This was the full factory race sled when it first came out. I mean, it's got the, I mean, this is 2003 we're talking about, so it was pretty sweet in 03, not so much anymore. But this one was supposedly trail converted when I bought it. The guy had put a bigger tank on it. Originally these came with a 4-gallon race tank, and I specifically asked the guy too when I bought it, has it been fully trail converted? Because on these sleds, they come from the factory with a high octane head on them. 110 octane head, I believe they were. And he said, oh yeah, it's all been trail converted. That's the head right there. So I brought it home, jetted it up what I thought would be right for our altitude, and rode it around for a few days. I think I took it to Black Hills once and rode a little bit. And then one day I jumped on it, fired it up, and it was kind of a cool afternoon. Took it out for a ride, and the temperature dropped about 10 degrees from the time I took off and by the time I got home. And sure enough, it went ahead and got me home, but it had melted the pistons on the exhaust side. So I decided, well, I'll rebuild it once, because these 440s are pretty finicky. I'll rebuild it once and see how it treats me. So I tore it all apart and got into it and realized that it still had the 110 octane head on it. And I was running 91 octane fuel, but still, I was getting a pre-detonation, which attributed to that exhaust side melting. So I went ahead, cleaned up one cylinder. One was pretty much torched, so I ordered a cylinder for it, Wiseco pistons. Slapped it back together, and that's been, I think, 2 years ago now, and everything's good. I just did a compression check on it, and I think it was 130 in each side, so the rings are holding up. This one also came stock, 121-inch track. Came with a 14-inch track from the factory. But I had, after I took the 136 kit off of my 700, I had a little bit of time one day, so I decided to throw it on here. You see, that's it there. This track is totally hash, but I don't really care. It's still working, and it's missing quite a few lugs, which is okay for this machine because it's just a 440. You don't want to be turning too big a track with too big of lugs with a 440. They are fun little sleds. I wouldn't recommend buying one unless you want to be working on them, and they're pretty limited in their usage. You know, they're designed to go from 0 to 40 in a flash, but if you try to get on one and travel with it, it's just not comfortable. So the chain case in this one I actually geared up a little bit. I think it's got I can't even remember. I think it was a 1943 gear set, and I went up, I think it was 2 cogs on the top, I think, so 2143. No, that's not right. That would have made it lower geared. I think I put a smaller bottom gear on it, that's right. Anyways, it will travel now. It's still geared pretty low. And the clutch, with these, in order to get any power out of them, you got to run them up to at least a 4,000 RPM engagement. I think I have this one clutch to engage at like 42.5. But same thing on this one. I went through, checked the fluids, coolant, chain case, cleaned the carbs, put fresh gas in it, and it fired right up. I will say again, if I burn this 440 up again, I will not be putting another 440 back in it. I'll either get a 600 or 700 big block and put in it. Another thing with this one, as it being a race sled, it's never had oil injection, so it's all pre-mix. Which, in a way, I kind of enjoy that, because you know that there's oil in it. You're not going to burn up an engine due to an oil pump failure. But yeah, there they are, ready to go. Like I say, we are getting quite a bit of snow here, so maybe we'll get to fire them up and run some coyotes with them. Thanks for watching.